and discuss what do we already know about research. What goes into research, what makes it up, what do we need to do for research, all of that. Talk to it with your partner. And when I ask you to give feedback, I want you to respond with what your partner thinks. So I don't want to know what you think, I want to know what your partner thinks. And I want to know that you know their name. So don't say he said, she said. So their name and what they think goes into research. Take a second to talk to your partner.
But it's also I do know that it is very, very, very important.
It's important, and it helps develop our writing a bit better.
Come on.
So what do you guys talk about research?
Yeah, like how it makes us say curvature of space-time and gravity.
What else? So I said we're not going to take the research. Oh, we're going to do it. Definitely know what's going on. Okay guys, bring it back. So let's hear what goes into research. So Erin, what did your partner think? So remember, his name's no, he said, she said. Okay, so research is facts and key details. So Julian, what did your partner think research is?
Kyle said numbers, and then Justin says statistics, facts, quotes.
Okay, so then would they agree with Isaiah probably?
Most likely, yes.
Most likely. Ariana M., what did your partner think?
Cameron, X information.
Okay, so research is information. Did you go into more depth? What kind of information? Any? From any source, right? So, what kind of source? Justin?
It has to be a credible source.
Credible source, yes. So credible sources go into research. Emily? Yep, so Leslie said that it's taking notes on facts. So it's a lot of note taking, right? That's kind of what we discussed earlier that we were going to be doing? Yeah. Nathan, I heard that you brought up something about research, about the effort that goes into it. What did you say?
I said that it was extensive, rigorous, and monotonous.
Well, yeah, so it's kind of hard at times, right? But is it necessary?
It's very necessary.
Very necessary. Why do you think it's necessary?
It's necessary because if you don't have evidence or some kind of validation to your claims, then it's not valid. And you can't really, you can't use it because nobody would take it seriously if there is nothing to go on.
So I know we kind of brought this up at the beginning of Unit 3, and now we're in Unit 4. But what of the rhetorical appeals might that apply to? Do you remember?
Logos?
You use logos, but it applies to what? It's another one. Ethos. Ethos, that credibility. We'll go back to it. We're still practicing playing with that. So, on your first free page in Unit 4, we're going to title this How to Research. So we're going to start up the Cornell notes.
another one, shoot.
Okay guys, so we set up our page for how to take C notes. Ashley's ahead of the game over here because she's including it into her index. So on the left-hand side, we're going to write finding credible sources. So as was brought up by Julian and his partners, we need credible sources. So how do we know what's credible? It's hard, right? There's a lot of fake news out there these days. There's a lot of things we don't know where it's coming from. So it's really hard to discern what's credible and what's not. These are some tips and tricks to identify what's credible. So you can paraphrase this, put it in your own words, but you want to make sure that you use reliable sources. So what do reliable sources look like? Some of them are the NewYorkTimes.com, some of them are CNN, ABCGo.com, things like Google Scholar. You want to make sure that you also double check the URL. So you want to make sure that if you're at CNN.com, you're actually at CNN.com. You also want to ignore oddly named websites. So if it's not a news site like CNN, ABC, NPR, those real abbreviations really help us see that it's credible a lot of the time. But things like BuzzFeed, it's an oddly named website, it's not as reliable. Wikipedia is also one of those weirdly named ones that we're not going to be using. You also want to make sure that you find current information so that it's not outdated. You want to think about the bias or the objectivity of the author who is writing the material. So if we're going to a website and it says news for Republicans by Republicans, it's probably going to be a little bit what? Biased, yeah. By using credible sources, we improve our ethos. So we improve our credibility as authors. When taking notes on our credible sources, we want to make sure that we're looking for interesting facts or important information. We want to make sure that we get down important quotes to reference in our report. facts, important information, quotes are all things that we want to have for our notes. We also want to make sure that we write down the URL so we can go back and reference that information at a later time. So do we need more time writing this down? No? Okay. So I want to practice a little bit at identifying reliable sources. This is our first source. Take a second, talk to your partner, discuss if it's a reliable source, if it's a credible source, why or why not. Try to use the terms from your notes to support your answer.
We get you. We get you, my dear.
It's organized very
Organized like a newspaper.
It's not gonna organized. It's biased.
And it's not
Only if we already said that it's a verified website, it would be
Okay guys, let's bring it back. So, Chanel. Where is she? Oh yes, you're over here typically. Okay. Chanel, do you think that this is a reliable source? Why or why not?
yes.
Yes, because it's from the New York Times. What makes the New York Times why it's a reliable source?
Gives you facts.
Okay, so it gives you facts. Jacob, why else is the New York Times a credible source? Yeah, it has the right URL, right?
And
It's kind of really small, so it's hard to see. Let's see, Max, why else might it be a credible source?
Because based off the title, it's not right.
So, the New York Times is known for not being as biased as other sources. Nathan, H, why else would the New York Times be a credible source?
It's not oddly named.
It's not oddly named, yeah, that's for sure. Jasmine? Yeah, so the URL doesn't have anything weird in it. Also, how often does this come out? Oh, yeah, so it's what? Yeah, so you see it a lot, so it's current, right? It's current. Let's look at this one. This is by The Onion. So take a second, talk to your partner.
Okay.
Try to figure out if you think this is a credible source or a not credible source.
No.
I can't Arranged professional.
I can't even see.
I mean, The Onion, it's a dead giveaway. Come on.
Like,
It's obscure.
I can check, but you start out the back, so you already remember.
I have all A's. I have a C.
People that like searched up like
If I go into my 11, I'll get in trouble. They find all they do even on that.
What?
They finna have some problems.
Super. What is that?
Actually, I'm all A's.
That's like what is this website?
Okay guys, so I kind of heard as soon as we brought it all back. I know this was funny, right? So I heard as soon as I brought this one up that this was a funny one, right? So let's see, who wants to start us off as to whether or not they believe that this is a credible source? Nathan.
It's not a credible source purely because of the fact that it's named The Onion.
Okay, so it has one of those odd names, right? Okay. Let's see. Dylan, do you want to continue?
Wow. I'm thinking if it says the world agreed to take the internet down for a while, how are we even viewing it from the website? And I can go on my phone and see it. So it's credible.
Looking at the facts, right, we know that it's kind of not a very credible source.
Yeah.
It doesn't have like more articles on the side of it like the New York Times does, so maybe it's not as updated.
Okay, so maybe it's not current. Okay, Dylan?
I noticed some of the websites that are credible have a lot of ads on the side, not like New York Times doesn't have ads on the side. Like,
So you think my ad block was taken care of?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hope, what about you? Probably biased. So you think it might be biased because they're kind of calling the internet something that's not useful, maybe? Okay. Kyle, what do you want
I
to?
was just thinking, like, that's a pretty big decision. I feel like I would have heard about it already.
Oh, okay.
On, like, another newspaper. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe just the
Yeah.
not being as relevant,
Yeah.
maybe? Okay. So let's look at this one. This one's a little bit trickier, this one. So try to take a second, look at it, talk about whether or not you think it's a credible source.
It's not because the logo itself it's not
They have like the teacups.
That's actually the ABC app.
Is that not actually the logo? No.
Okay guys, let's bring it back. So I know you guys were talking to your partners again. I want to hear what your partner thought. So do we need a second more to get your partner's information? Yeah, okay. So Kyle, what did your partner think? Did they think that this was reliable or not, and why?
No, not credible.
Who thought that?
Me, Justin.
So you and Justin both agreed. Why?
Because that doesn't look like the ABC logo.
Okay, so it doesn't look like the ABC logo. So what could help us double check if it's the ABC logo? The URL. Does the URL look right? I know it's really small. Okay.
Maybe not, it's too short.
Yeah, so the URL actually isn't the actual URL. So, good catch, good catch. Ray, did you want to share?
I noticed that this is a really like teeny tiny little detail, but in the two fake one, which is ABC and The Onion, they don't have the secure. It's not an HTTPS URL, it's just HTTP.
Good catch. I didn't even notice that one. So if you guys want to add that on to your notes, you totally can. Ray's got eagle vision over there.
How could you see that?
I don't know. I have really good vision.
Okay guys, bring it back. I have one last example for us to look at.
Oh,
Let's look at the last example. Do we think that this is a reliable source?
Yeah.
Why and why not? So take a second, talk to your partner, talk to your group. I want to get your partner.
That sounds like some Trump.
Trump slam.